How's it going, YouTube? In this video, we are continuing my Tempest card review. This is the second one. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, give me a like, give me a sub. Thank you guys so much for watching. Here we have the Okay, here we have the Wandering Bard Alta, a neutral silver, 2 play point 2/2. Stat wise, pretty solid, right? Those are premium 2-cost stats. On Evo, it has no effect. On Evo, it only gains +1/+1 on evolution. Like most Evo minions with an effect, it only gains +1/+1. That is fair and balanced, right? Levi. Anyway, the effect is, so when you Evo it, followers and amulets, fanfares, necromancy, enhance, and Dryit abilities that activate upon being played from the hand will not activate. This effect lasts until this follower leaves the area. So essentially what it means is, it kind of like negates everything, but not quite everything. It negates like any fanfare or any effect like that from like a minion, right? And amulets as well. So that is a very powerful effect. It's a cool effect. It's a really, really powerful effect. That said though, something that I think people are kind of like overlooking here is that, so first of all, he only gets +1/+3. So as a 3/3, he still dies to minion battle relatively easy. On top of that, he does not negate spells. So any removal spell that does 3 damage will just kill him, right? And there's a lot of spells that are being played right now which, you know, do 3 damage. So he dies to any spell, like, he can be clear, right? It's not like you play this guy and they just can't do anything and they lose, right? Like, yes, you can play this guy on, like, say 8, and then you Evo him so that they can't Albert you, right? On 9, they can't, that does work like that. On the other hand, is, let's say I'm an Albert player and you play this on 8, I don't have to play my Albert. I can kill this guy and then play Albert after, right? So, like, he does buy you a turn, but, like, it's not like he negates or destroys those cards or anything like that, right? If that makes sense. 3/3 gets Evoed over pretty easy. That's 20 spells. I think the effect is strong and it's interesting, but I don't know. I don't think it's, like, insanely good or anything like that. Like, what deck would actually play this? And what would be the best way for you to play this? Like, you can't even, like, play this, like, with a Seraph so you don't get Odin, right? Like, okay, you could do on turn 10, you play Seraph and this guy and you Evo so that they can't Odin that, right? Like, you know, like, this guy essentially does, he buys you a turn if, and I'm not sure how good that is. Like, for example, back in the day when the Roach deck was running rampant, you know, everybody knew that wards were good against Roach deck, right? Now, that said, if you had a ward, that does not mean that the Roach guy has to go nuts on that ward. They can clear the ward and then kill you a turn after, right? It's kind of like the same situation here. You play this guy, he kind of buys you a turn if that, and they can still go ham after, right? So, I don't think it's horrible. Yeah, Peter, I know people were talking about synergy with a Tommy, so that he doesn't clear your board, and at that point, like, that's pretty cool combo. But that's like a very specific thing, and if that becomes a deck, then that's cool, and I respect that, but like, that would be that specific deck, right? I don't think people are really going to play this in, like, I don't know, I can't think of what would actually want to play this. It's got to be something like Control-y, right? It's an interesting card, though. I don't think it's awful, but I don't think it's super OP or anything like that. Alright. Next, we got Minty, or is it Minty? Minte? Minty. Minte. Minty of the Underworld, the other Shadow Card legendary. So as you guys know, in this expansion, each class is getting not 1, but 2 legendaries, which I think is super good. It lets there be more variety, and lets there be more different, like, archetypes, right? Which is good. Because the legendaries are the cards that have the crazy effects, like the interesting stuff. So, having 2 legendaries per class will allow for more variety, which I think is great. So, what is this card? It's a 4 play point 3/4, so pretty standard stats, right? Fanfare, your necromancy effects cause 0 shadows until this follower leaves the area. So essentially when you play this card, you can play anything that has shadows, necromancy, and it won't use them, right? Which is a strong effect. That is a pretty strong effect. That said, you're not really playing this on turn 4, right? Because it will definitely just be clear. So you want to combo this card with other stuff, right? So off the bat, what are like the best combos with this? Clearly the best one, or the best one I can think of, is Deadly Tyrant, as Deadly Tyrant uses 13 shadows. So on turn 10, you play Minty, you play Tyrant, and you Storm for 13 damage. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Because the thing is, like, kind of like Mary, like, Minty is not a horrible card by itself, right? And Tyrant is not a horrible card by itself either. So putting both of them in your Shadow deck is not bad. Now, you wouldn't really play this in a Nefty's deck. Probably not aggro either, so this is, again, probably a more either mid-range or control Shadow, which I would definitely like to see. It does combo with cards like Ghostly Grasp, which is pretty insane, as you have a 1 play point, destroy any minion, and that's really good. The problem is that Ghostly Grasp is not a good card without her, and do you want to run the risk that you play Ghostly Grasp without her? I mean, maybe that's worth it or not. Now, it's going to also come with other random cards, right, like Death's Breath, things like that, the new Shadow Legendary. The thing is, like, for example, like, you can just compare this to Mary, right? If Mary survives, you pretty much die, right? If this card survives, you get, like, good value, but it's not, like, game-winning, right? So, I think it's good, it's interesting. I would like to see, like, maybe a Control Shadow that plays this as, like, a late game finisher. I think that would be solid. It's a cool effect for sure. Again, I don't think it's absolutely insane, though, but in its deck, if that deck is a thing, then obviously it's good, right? This does make mediocre Necromancy cards might see more play, aka Ghostly Grasp or other things as well. So that's not bad at all. It's a cool effect though. I do like it. Alright, next we got Grimnir, the War Cyclone, a 3 play point 2/3 neutral gold minion. So he has ward, he's a 2 play point 2/3 ward, which is already pretty solid, right? It's a premium stats, good effect, good card. Enhance 10. Deal 1 damage to all enemies 4 times. So all enemies means you're doing damage to everything, not just the face, not just the board, but both. And the fact that it happens 1 time 4 times means you can combo it with like the Dragon Pendant, right? So you essentially would do 8 damage to the face and the board for 10. And that's pretty good. Does that deck even want to play this guy? I honestly don't know, as I don't play that deck at all. But obviously it does combo with it. And in a deck that doesn't play the pendant, just like a regular deck, you can play this guy as an early 3-drop and be good and have like solid late game effect as well. Like 4 AoE damage is good, 4 phase damage is good, so both with a ward, I mean, it seems solid, right? Like it's a good effect, it's a good card. Again, it's a matter of like what deck would you play this and what would you run? Like you gotta run this guy over something else, right? But I think it's pretty solid. In Take 2, I think it's pretty cool as well, right? I'll give you that spice of late game. Okay, and then I think this is the last one. We got a Dryit, a Forest, 2 play point 1/2 clash. Give the enemy follower -1, and Evo, same thing. Give the enemy follower -1. That's a weird effect, right? You don't see a lot of effects like this in this game where like there's a lot of cards that buff your own dudes, right? But not a lot of things that like make your opponent's minions weaker. And I feel like spending a minion to give a minion -1 attack and get a portrait is not worth it. So I don't think this card is good, right? Because the 1/2 will trade poorly. Like, you have 1/2, have a 2/2. They run over you. Okay, they take a damage, so they go down to 1/1. But they still get a good trade against you, right? Like, you'd rather just have a 2/2. And most 2/2s have a positive effect on top of that, right? So, like, I don't know. That seems not good to me. I don't think this card is... I don't think it's good. I don't like it. Okay, so for the next card of the review, we got at the start, Dark Gene. One of the Havencraft legendaries, as we see the other one already. Dark Gene is a 6 play 1/5/5. Fanfare, deal 2 damage to all followers. Then you give all our followers +2. +2 attack. 5/5 stats for 6. So let me first say that as somebody who watched the Bahamut anime, and as somebody who doesn't really like Gene, I always thought that Dark Gene was cool. At least in the anime she was, right? So seeing her have a dark card, I think that's pretty cool. And Gene sees no play at all, and Dark Gene might see some play, if anything. Okay, so let's talk about the card. So 6/5/5, not great stats, but not horrible stats either. You do 2 damage to all our followers, that's a good effect, right? Then you give all our followers +2 attack. That is not as good, right? Off the bat, you want to compare this with Lion Spirit, who is a 5 play point 4/5, deal 2 damage to all followers. He uses an Evo, yes, but he comes 1 turn earlier. And then the thing about Gene is that, like, you clear 2 health minions, but then everything else that you don't clear gets buffed, and you trade worse against it, right? The +2 attack also goes on your followers, so you could say you could play this in like a Garuda deck and be aggressive with it. The problem is that like that kills your small dudes as well, so I don't see that working out either, right? Like, can you really play Jin to be aggressive? I don't see a board where like that happens, right? So as Haven AoE, on 6 the Kree is better. I mean, you clear the entire board, right? Jin gives you a body, but she trades poorly against anything else and dies, so that's not great. And if you want the 2 damage AoE, then I feel like the Lion Spirit is better. So I don't think she's garbage, but I really don't see anyone playing this. Like, it's hard because it's a lot of cards to compete with that are solid, probably better AoE, right? Like, for Jin to be good, you'd have to clear a board of like a bunch of 2-hold minions, and then anything that survives would have to have 3 attack or less, or I guess 5 attack or less. Which could happen, and like, it would have a moment where it's decent, I guess, but I don't know, man. It seems inconsistent to me. I don't see what deck would play this. I really just don't see it. Next card, we got Phoenix Rider Aina, a Dragoncraft Gold, 6 play point 1/5, Storm, Fanfare game +1 attack for each follower in play. So not allied or enemy followers, just all followers. So first of all, Storm is a really, and I mean really strong effect, right? Like, that keyword is insanely strong. Some of the most broken cards in the game have Storm, Roach. Storm is a really insanely powerful effect. And this card has Storm, so that's good. Now, 1/5 is a pretty whack stack line. Obviously, it's not great, but it gets a buff, right? So let's say there's 3 minions in play. This becomes a 4/5 Storm. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. You're not going to play this over Forte, though. Obviously, Forte is better, more consistent, and can be attacked, right? So what deck would play this? I guess if you're playing full-on aggro dragon, and you want to curve out at the end, and even then, if you play that, then this makes your emissary worse because you still want to get Forte out of it, right? Because it's not relying on having minions, right? It's common when you're playing aggro against control. They clear your board, and now you go ham, right? And in that case, this guy is a 1/5, which is pretty booty, so I don't think it's too great. Like, Storm is strong, but is it strong enough for this guy to see play? I don't think so. Alright, next we got Stolen Life, a bronze Bloodcraft card, 6 play point spell. Deal 3 damage to an enemy follower. They give +3/+3 to a random allied follower. So dealing 3 damage to an enemy follower is like it's worth like 3 play points worth of spell, right? Like, spells with 3 do 3 damage, right? Something like that, more or less. Maybe they do 4, right? So it's like a little worse than that. You gave it 3 to a random allied follower. You can't target it random, but like, it's a follower, so like, there's not crazy RNG on there, right? I just like, you know, in Take 2 you could play this card, right? Because like, you get good value because it's 2 effects in 1 card and that's strong. But I don't see people playing this in any constructed blood deck. I don't think it's like good enough, right? In Take 2 you take it and be okay with it because it's like decent value, right? Don't like it too much though, but it's not horrible. It's not horrible. Alright, next we got, well, I'm pretty sure there's still more, right? Yeah. Okay, next we got Little Soulcrusher, a Shadowcraft Gold, 2 play point 2/2. So stat wise, pretty good stats, right? Those are premium stats for a 2-drop. Necromancy 4, destroy any enemy follower. I think that's pretty solid. Like, it's a good effect, right? In the mid game, people are always happy with followers, so like it's bound to get the effect off, right? Even destroying enemy follower, it's like doing like, I don't know, 2, 3, or 4 damage, which is not bad. It's a decent use of shadows because again, it's like a minion, but also removal in the same hand, so you get the 2 for 1, so it's decent value. I don't know if they would play this though, right? Like, would you play this over there with 2-drops? I feel like not, but I don't think it's a bad effect or a bad card. Maybe in the deck that plays Mint and you want to play a lot of Necromancy effects, then this is a little better, obviously. But in Arena, it's pretty solid too. The problem is that in Arena, you want your ghosts to be like Mordecai, things like that, right? Think it's better than Siegfried? I think it's good. I mean, it is a solid effect. Like, people are going to have you with minions, so it is definitely relevant. And Destroyer Follower is a good effect. And it's a 2 for 1 effect. It is a good card. I do think it's a good card. Maybe, like, Control Shadow would play this. That's not crazy. I mean, it's solid stats at the worst, right? 2 for 2, 2, so seems good. Supposed to come up with Mint? Yeah, I think that's like a turn 6 Mint, Soulcrusher, and you kill the dude and you evolve the other one. That's not bad at all. So, solid card. We'll see if that makes into a deck, though. Okay, next we have the Enchanting Library, a Bronze Rune Amulet Counter Amulet. You don't see a lot of Counter Amulets in our classes, right? But here's one for Rune. At the end of your turn, put a random spell from your deck to your hand. So, what this card essentially does is it draws you 2 cards over 2 turns, right? And they're spell, so they cannot be minions. And as a Rune, that's probably not a bad thing, right? Now, I don't think this is a card for D-Shift. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, D-Shift will not play this. But this is not a D-Shift card, right? This is a card for a different type of Rune deck. Where that Rune deck becomes a thing or not, like, you can play this in Dirt Rune, I guess. It is nice card draw. It's a 1 card draws you 2. And there's spells, which is good. Only costs 2. Like, 2 play 1 draw 2 is not bad at all. So I actually like this card. I like this card a lot. I would like to see a, like, control-y spell boost Rune come up. And something like this would not be bad in that. And this would not be bad in Earth Rune either, so I like this card. I like this card a lot. It just seems like a good, solid card. You definitely could play it in D-Shift if you wanted to, yeah. I think it's a good card. I like it. I definitely expect this to see play, yeah. Alright, next we have, and I think this is the last one, we have a Wind Reader Cell, a 2 play point, 2/2 Dragon Silver. So we see we're near a card that has, you know, premium stat lines and a good effect. So on Evo, he gets +2/+2 on Evo, which is good, right? Pretty good. Give an allied follower Storm before Flow is active. As I was talking about this before, Storm is a extremely powerful effect, right? Giving something Storm is, it's like game winning, right? So in Overflow, anyway, so turn 7 or 7 play points onward, right? Because you can ramp into it. You can give something Storm. So it's always meant to be like a combo card. But it's a combo card that you can play on turn 2 if you need to. And you don't, you know, like they get lost from it, which is good. So what is like the best combo you get from this? Off the bat is Hydra. You can play Hydra. Then you give it Storm. That's 10 damage. That's not bad. That's not better than Forte Erd, but it's not bad either. You can make Bahamut cost 8 with Cavalier. And then you can Bahamut clear the board. Play Cell. Give Bahamut Storm. And that's pretty good. Now, deck like that will probably play things like Olivia, right? But Olivia's pretty solid. And if that's the best you can get out of this card, that's pretty good, right? I think it's a strong card. I definitely see this card being played in some sort of, I don't know, like, you could play this in a regular deck and not suffer for it because it's fine stats, right? The question is where a deck that plays this guy as like a finisher becomes a thing. And that could happen, I suppose. So I think it's a powerful effect, and I definitely expect to see it play in some sort of deck for sure. Yeah, you can also run Call Casitos and then Storm the Servant as well. That's a good point, Jesse. And I think that's the last one. Yeah, so there's other cards, but again, we're only doing the ones that are on Twitter. As they're released, we'll do more card reviews.